Good morning and welcome to the second annual Career Everywhere Recognition and Celebration event. My name is Nancy Bilmes and I'm the Director of the Center for Career Development. Thank you for being here with us today. The Career Center established a campus and community-wide culture of Career Everywhere several years ago, which continues to be a driving force of the work we do in the center. Career Everywhere has been recognized since its inception, both nationally and regionally, through awards and presentations by the National Association of Colleges and Employers, the Eastern Association of Colleges and Employers, and the Career Leadership Collective. One of the primary components of Career Everywhere is the focus on equity in career development. Students come to UConn from different backgrounds, nationalities, and countries, some of whom understand the importance of career development throughout their college career, as well as many others who do not. The mission of Career Everywhere is to ensure that students have the tools and resources needed for post-graduation success. This will be achieved by integrating career development methodology into every facet of a student's experience at the University of Connecticut. Through intentionally infusing career development into the UConn experience, Career Everywhere provides access and equity to career development for all students, including underrepresented and marginalized populations. This model is based on the reality that students are not only seeking advice about their career aspirations and plans from the staff at the Career Center, but also, and more often, from faculty, staff, alumni, and employer partners, each and every one of you. Career Everywhere helps to ensure that everyone a student may interact with regarding career readiness is equipped with the tools and referral protocols needed to create consistent messaging to our Huskies. I'd like to thank each of you for your commitment to helping UConn students reach their career goals. Today, we will be recognizing career champions as well as award nominees and recipients. Today could not have been possible without the entire staff at the Center for Career Development, and in particular, our Career Everywhere team, who I'd like to take a minute to thank. Melinda Rosito, Jessica Buller, Evan McMunn, Wiley Dawson, Christina Bedini, and Cecilia Littig. You will be hearing from our team members during the event, and a few will be working behind the scenes to ensure everything runs smoothly. If you have questions for any of the speakers, feel free to throw those into the chat. If you have any private questions, you can message Melinda Rosito. Before we hear from our keynote speaker, I would like to invite Jim Lowe, Assistant Vice Provost and Executive Director, to say a few words.
Thanks so much, Nancy, and welcome to everybody, career champions and those who will soon be career champions after this call. You'll receive an invitation. So I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and I just want to share a few thoughts about career, the Center for Career Development here at the University of Connecticut, and how we support our students and how we support the institution. So as you all are aware, top 3 university strategic initiatives center around life transformative education, doubling research, and ensuring that we at UConn are doing all we can to meet Connecticut's workforce needs and fuel economic growth. So clearly 2 of those center directly on the work of the Center for Career Development and all of the career champions that are on this call and those who couldn't make the call as well. So as we plan our events and our services and our programmatic offerings, we do so with an eye to how do we support the students who are our #1 customer, but also how do we support the university's strategic initiatives, as well as how do we support the growth of the state of Connecticut. Next slide, please. I just wanted to share that kind of as a framing. Our vision as a center is a university-wide career readiness culture, and I think there's a specific emphasis on that word culture, and that's part of the reason we created the Career Everywhere program as well as Career Champions to assist us in getting that university-wide career readiness culture, preparing students for post-graduation success. And really our mission overall is to deliver comprehensive, innovative, and inclusive programs and services for all students. We cultivate connections to campus and community partners, and in that cultivating connections to campus partners, that is the Career Champions program, as well as community partners, because it's not only faculty and staff who are career champions, but it's also our employer community as well as our alumni. but in promoting opportunities for students to become contributing members of the state, national, and world communities. From a values standpoint, and these are things that we aspire to, so all of our programmatic offerings, all of our initiatives really aspire to agility, aspire to student success, aspire to partnerships, innovation, respect, and empowerment. So as we move forward with the Career Champion program, Career Everywhere, and quite frankly, all of the programs that we offer, we ask ourselves, do these embody our values? Can the students clearly see that they embody our values, and are they receiving benefit from what we offer them? So next slide, please. So I just want to spend half a minute on the evolution of career services, just so everybody's aware how we got to where we're at today. Back in the 50s and 60s, when career centers started sprouting up on university campuses around the country, it was all about meeting with students one-on-one. A student would come in, meet with a career consultant, talk about their career, potentially be given an application to a job, and then go on their merry way. That really wasn't scalable. I mean, if you take a look at UConn, 34,000 students total, and 20 folks in the Center for Career Development, to meet with every student one-on-one is not attainable, it's not scalable, and it's really not meeting the needs of the student. So what the industry, if you will call it that, started doing was meeting with students in groups with common needs. So an interviewing session or how to develop a resume session. Then we got into providing print resources. And then kind of in the 90s, early 2000s, we started leveraging technology to scale our services. And the next iteration of that was really curating online resources to the specific needs of our students. And in that curation, you'll see it in the numbers that I present in a little bit, we've been able to grow our web page views from neighborhood of 200,000 views a year to our top of close to 700,000 page views a year, because we curate those resources specifically to the needs of the student. We then took it one step further to expanding through social media and then aligning with ambassadors and liaisons, which was really the early genesis of Career Everywhere, to full Career Everywhere and Career Champions programs. UConn is on the cutting edge of Career Everywhere and Career Champions, being a thought leader on that and really driving the national conversation around what does it mean to be a career center, and how do you leverage the resources of the entire university community to meet the career readiness needs of our students. So next slide, please. I'm happy to say that currently we have 478 career champions. As I speak to peer and aspirant colleagues of mine around the country, and they boast of, oh, we launched a career champions program and now we have 12 career champions. I'm always ready to say we have 478. That's an awesome number in terms of the amplification of who we are and what we do, and the resources that are available to our students. I know that many of you were providing career readiness resources to students before the Career Everywhere program was launched. But I think from the standpoint of consistent messaging to our students, this has taken us a long way. And again, we continue to be a national thought leader on Career Everywhere as well as Career Champions, and are asked to do presentations and have actually received several awards for our work in this arena. Next slide, please. So speaking of awards and presentations, the Eastern Association of Colleges and Employers, as Nancy mentioned a few moments ago, just recognized us with innovation and program development for the Career Everywhere and Career Champion program. They've also recognized us now 2 years in a row for our work in innovation and diversity, equity, and inclusion programming and support of our students' intersectionality. In addition to that, we're asked to do presentations nationally as well as internationally by the National Association of Colleges and Employers, Eastern Association of Colleges and Employers, the Career Leadership Collective, as well as Firsthand International. So a lot of people are looking to UConn as best practice and the model for how to establish a Career Everywhere program, launch a Career Every program, and support a robust and impactful Career Champion program. Next slide, please. So how we do this, we do measure student outcome rates. I'm happy to say that last year's graduating class, 6 months post-graduation, reported 90% positive outcomes, 52% of those being employed, 37% continuing education, and a small percentage in other positive outcome areas. One of the things that I take a great amount of pride in, and I thank my team for on a regular basis, is nationally, 54% of students utilize their Center for Career Development. At UConn, it's 19 percentage points higher than that, with 73% of our students utilizing our services. Some other figures that are important in there, and this goes to career everywhere as well as life transformative education. 78% of our graduates report that they've participated in experiential learning prior to graduation. So we're doing a great job on both of those fronts, but still more work to do. The 62% number there is very important to our legislature. There had always been this narrative that students get educated at UConn and leave the state, but we've been able to demonstrate that 62% of those who are from Connecticut, who got a job, got those jobs in Connecticut and are continuing to support the economic engine of the state of Connecticut, which is very important to us on a lot of different levels. So next slide, please. From an activity standpoint, last year we did 390 presentations, 3,909 students attended, 770 employers on campus or on virtual engagement with students, and 5,175 one-on-one sessions. So again, when you take a look at my team being able to do 5,000 sessions one-on-one with students and 34,000 students, how are the other 29,000 being serviced? They're being serviced through the Career Champions program and for all of you on this call. So again, thank you for that engagement. Next slide, please. From a corporate partner relations standpoint, 13,139 employer student touch points. That's engagement, individual engagements with employers. 17,000 students active in Handshake, our student recruiting platform. And our website page views 550,000, which is just an awesome number. And you'll also see our social media followers number in the thousands. So that's just a little snapshot of, number one, what career looks like from a historical basis, what we're doing here at UConn as a national thought leader, and the support that we're getting from all of you to ensure that our students are career ready by the time they complete their undergraduate as well as graduate careers here at the University of Connecticut. Next slide, please. So with that, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, my friend and colleague, Junior Delgado. Junior is the president-elect of the Eastern Association of Colleges and Employers, and Junior is also the Career Center Director at Westfield State University. He has over 20 years experience in higher education with additional experience in both admissions and recruitment. As I said, he is the president-elect of the Eastern Association of Colleges and Employers and an inaugural fellow for the Career Leadership Collective. He has led as the executive chair and president to the Massachusetts Educational Recruiting Consortium, and he's an adjunct instructor for the departments of English and Psychology. He's also completed this Institute for Management and Leadership at Harvard. So I will let Junior take over at this point, but again, thank you so much, Junior, for joining us today. I value our friendship and collaboration in the Northeast Career Center Directors Forum that you lead so eloquently. Again, thanks for being here with us today. Junior?
Thank you, Jim. All the same feelings, value our friendship and the time that we spend together. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here this morning and allowing me into your space. I am very excited to be here. As I shared with the team yesterday when we had a conversation about the topic at hand, you could spend multiple hours of research. There is data, there is information, there are national articles around career and the intersectionality of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so today I just want to spend about 15 minutes talking a little bit about my trajectory, where I've come, where I hope to be, and just sharing some points for considerations around intersectionality, diversity, equity, and inclusion. My work is always centered around students, so serving the student community. But again, I'm very excited to be here. I do want to thank Jim, Ami, Nancy, Beth, Christina, Wiley, and Evan for the warm welcome and talking me through the presentation yesterday. So it's been a pleasure to work with all of you. To the point where I would say this, that I've been in this space so long that I remember when Ami was a student at her prior institution. So I've been around quite a while. The other thing that I would say, and I'll go back one further, when I first met Ami, she thought that I was actually a student and not an advisor to our Latino Association at our institution. So again, it is a pleasure to be here with you. I want to commend all the winners today. So congratulations on being recognized. I also want to thank each and every one of you for being here with us this morning in this space. I did chuckle when Jim said that you had 498 career champions. As I think about our own campus, and we probably have maybe 30 at best, and trying to grow that very quickly. So yes, UConn is a leader in that space and arena. So commendations to everybody at the University of Connecticut for your work that you are doing. So again, my pronouns are he, him, his, and I'd like to jump into a statement here that I think really will frame the conversation for us all today. And so 30 years since Kimberlé Crenshaw coined the term intersectionality to describe how discrimination against different facets of a person's identity can overlap and impact their lives. The color of your skin, your gender, disability, and sexual orientation all interact to affect your lived experience and contribute to unequal outcomes in ways that cannot be attributed to one dimension alone. So we're going to use that to frame that conversation. And a couple of things very quickly, and I will talk a little bit more about who I am and my background. This is the OWL, Westfield State University. We are the Owls. Whenever I am out and about, every Instagram photo, whatever you see that I'm in, I think my sibling asked me, do you own anything else other than Westfield State gear? Because that's all I ever wear in every single picture, even when I'm out with the family. But this is our owl. My favorite color is blue, hence the blue owl, the blue sports coat, blue in my tie. So blue is something that I really like. And those are our school colors as well. So it works perfectly. But what I want to start off with is by talking about a story of a young professional where 2 years into working in higher education, came across a vice president for a conversation. And as this vice president was leaving the institution here at Westfield State, this young professional had a conversation. And my real name is Junior. I am not named after anybody else. And what I tell people is it's just an interesting story, but it's very strange. My mother and father were young parents when they birthed me. And at that time, from what I was told, there was a little bit of a tiff or a disagreement. And my mom said, I will not name you after your father. And there was a soap opera star in our country at that time with the name Junior. She thought it was a real name, so she gave me that name. So I'm not named after my dad, but so it is Junior. And so this conversation with this vice president, before the individual was set to leave the institution to go somewhere else, in a one-on-one meeting, said to the individual, I believe that you really should, and I'm going to recommend that you change your name, because when people see your name on a resume, they're going to think all sorts of things about you. They're going to believe that it is ethnic. And so I highly, highly recommend that you change your name. The other thing that this individual did say to this person on many, many occasions was, every time you come to a meeting, shave. I need you to shave your beard. I need you to shave your mustache. And as an individual from a culture where, for Latinx men, many, 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 many years ago, I'm going back decades, mustaches and beards have been one of those things that are part of the culture. And to be told by a vice president that you need to shave can be very, very alarming, can be very striking. And the whole conversation about a name change for a young professional can be something that would drive someone out of a profession. And what I put here were a couple of things that I think are important: role modeling, care, welcoming, respect, kindness, words, and tone. And what I mean by that is that each and every one of us has a great impact, whether that's on our students, whether that's on our employees, or anyone that we interact with. Students will look to us. Students will watch us. Students will see how we behave when we go to meetings, how we interact with other students. You can ask a student, 9 out of 10 times, they're going to be very honest, and they're going to tell you, oh, that person pretends to like students, but they really don't care about students. And so again, being that role model, providing the care, being welcoming, respecting our students and employees. I will give this to George Mason University. I shared this with the team yesterday. They run a kindness campaign on their campus, and it's all about being kind to one another. It's all about being civil to one another. And so, and again, when you're having conversations, the words that you use and the tone and the way that you deliver those are very important. That can have a great impact on students, that can have a great impact on employees as well. Just to tell you a little bit more about who I am, just so you get an idea, I'm a husband, a father, a son, and a brother. And I started doing this in every single presentation because I started to have students that said to other students, I don't know if he's actually human. We always see him running around campus in a tie. He always sounds like a robot when he's talking and presenting about his topics, but is he even a human being? And so all of my presentations are now started with what I call my authentic self, because I want students to understand that I don't just come to campus or I'm here 24/7 in my office, that I actually have a life outside of work. And so I'm a husband, a father, a son, and a brother. One thing that I can say for anyone who has kids and can identify with this, I have an 8-year-old, and I now know that I have no energy that will ever match an 8-year-old as much as I try. It's never going to happen. I try to keep up, but even I'm losing in races in the backyard now because I can't beat my daughter. The other thing that I will say is that Spanish is my first language. So I'm a bilingual. I am from Carolina, Puerto Rico. And so when you fly into Puerto Rico, they tell everybody on every airplane ticket that you're flying into San Juan. You are not flying into San Juan. If you didn't know this, you're actually flying into Carolina. I'm a first-generation college graduate at every level, from middle school to high school, through my junior college, all the way through to my master's degree. The one thing that I will say in every presentation is I do not claim to be the smartest family member, because I know that I have cousins and nephews that are probably way smarter, at least book-wise. So I'll say that. I am a tailgater. I love being out cooking and doing those kinds of things at football games. I hope this doesn't offend anybody from the University of Connecticut. I am a lifelong Notre Dame football fan. So I bleed Irish, not Irish, but I bleed Irish blood. And people always ask me, Junior, how in the world, you're originally from Puerto Rico, you came to Massachusetts. How did you like Notre Dame football? And it's a very, very simple story. When you are poor and you come to this country for the first time and you can't afford cable TV, and now this was in the 80s, there were 2 teams on TV. On ABC was the University of Michigan, and on NBC was Notre Dame football. And so that was something that I truly, truly enjoyed watching every Saturday, and grew up through the miserable years to the good years. So again, Notre Dame football fan. I'm a movie binge watcher. I really will watch anything. I enjoy movies. My favorite genre of music is Spanish. I will listen to all Spanish music. I don't even turn on the English stations in the car. It's just who I am. And it's one genre all the time. So I always sound like a broken record. Everybody's like, you listen to the same thing all the time. Yes, I do. And then what I have found, 2 things that are a place of Zen, are mountain and road biking. I enjoy getting on trails. I enjoy going for long rides. And as well as I'll throw into that hiking, because I think that on a stressful day that does relax me, as well as one of the things that I did not share with the group, I actually enjoy gardening and getting my hands into the soil and the dirt and being one with the earth. I think that that is also important. The other thing that I should say, and the last thing I'll say authentically about myself, is that I have way too many cousins to count, from first cousins all the way through third cousins. On my paternal grandmother's side, there was 15 children. And on my maternal grandmother's side, there were 17 children. So just a big family, somewhat. So again, lots of cousins that live all over the world. But that is a little bit about me. The 3 things that I want to cover today, and when we talk about looking at the intersectionality of careers, I want to cover it from 3 sections, or 3 overviews, which are active listening, structure, and implementation. But what I will say, which really resonates with me, my culture or my cultural background is really about helping and giving back. And when I think about everyone in my family, what I have found is, and this is true to date, my entirety of family are either in education, are nurses, are correctional officers, are police officers, are electricians, are plumbers. And quick fact here, regardless if you have family members that are plumbers, electricians, they're still never going to come to your house because they're way too busy. So it's not going to happen because I don't ever see that benefit. And I have not yet to this day seen that benefit from two of my cousins who are plumbers and electricians. But I think that that is one of those things that I would say the culture which has led me into the field of working with students, which is something that I get up every day excited to do, has come from what I call the story of newspapers to careers. And what I mean by newspapers to careers, when I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, everything from jobs to internships to everything you found could be located through your good old fashioned newspaper. And at that time, you would go to these newspapers and there would be 20, 25, 30 pages of jobs and opportunities. And while going through high school, it seemed, and not seemed, but it was accurate that every single year, my father, who I was fortunate to live with, was laid off because he worked in the manufacturing industry. And at 13, 14, 15 years old is the individual who was the translator for the family. I would get up at 3:30, 4:30 in the morning and sometimes walk a mile to 2 miles to the local convenience store so that I could buy the paper to come back and sit down at our kitchen table and start highlighting jobs and opportunities for my father. And little did I know that years later, that would bring me into the line of work that I'm doing. So there is that connection that came from school. Now we've come so far because the newspaper now is only about 10 pages. There are maybe a half a page of jobs and everything else is online resources. So again, that is my connection to this field. That is why I do the work that I do. So active listening, structure, and implementation, and I want to go into those a little bit. The other thing that I would like to commend the University of Connecticut on is, and I thank Wiley for sharing this, the life transformative education. Your platform is amazing. The work that you're doing from the first phase of having 150 life transformative educators work across your entire university with one goal in mind. I can't commend you enough because I think you are setting the trend for other institutions. Looking at inspiring and empowering life transformative educators at all levels to embrace the opportunities and lead from a grassroots efforts to impact your students at every single level. And I specifically really liked reading about your core of the culture, the two areas with faculty and staff, that it's developing authentic and supportive relationships with students. Our students are very smart. Our students are very bright, and they know when you're being genuine and when you're being authentic and when you're not. And then the second part of that cultural goal, the extending the opportunities for all undergraduate students to participate in learning experiences that develop agency and purpose. Everything that we will do for our students moving forward will have a purpose with goals in mind. So again, my commendations to everyone at the University of Connecticut. It is an excellent website. It was a lot of good information, and I enjoyed the way that it was broken down. So let's start with active listening, because I want to go through, and I only have, I think, probably maybe about 8 or 9 minutes left. With active listening, and I want to focus this on students from a college and university perspective, at each level of the university, from our maintenance individuals to our groundskeepers, our administrative assistants, counselors, coaches, deans, all the way up to the highest levels. Active listening from what our students are saying is so important. And I always ask people that I talk to, how much listening are you doing on your campus? There was some study that said, it's very interesting, that a lot of times when people are speaking to you, you are not actively listening because your mind is in 20 other places with all the things that you have to do, the papers you have to correct, the meetings you have to attend. And so we lose out on active listening. And students will speak to everybody at every level on your campus. So actively listening. And students will connect to the people a lot of times that actually look like them. On our campus, that happens to be our maintainers. That happens to be some of our groundskeepers. So students do have conversations with them about what they like, what they're seeing, what they're experiencing, and what they're feeling. The other thing that I share within active listening, and this is where it really requires a lot of active listening, is understanding that not all groups are the same. Each student is an individual with different lived experiences, culture, familial backgrounds, etc. Not one Dominican student is the same as the other. They are both very different. Not one Puerto Rican student is the same as the other, very different. Not one Asian American student is the same as the other, very, very different. and actively listening to those individuals and what they're saying is very important. The other one is to understand when students experience racism, micro and macro aggressions on our campuses or in our place of work. Also, understanding through listening if you need to assist, intervene, or provide help to that student connecting to the right resources. That is very, very important through active listening. The other one that I'd like to touch upon is career champions. And again, I mentioned this life transformative education. It really is creating an intentional movement on your campus to impact students and all students, which is so important. The one thing that I share with all the individuals that I speak to about career champion programs, and I really cherish this when colleagues across the country say this, that it is not the sole responsibility of the Career Center on any college campus to fully be responsible for the full engagement of students, because these conversations about career, jobs, industry, research are taking place across all levels of campus. So being able to, again, actively listen from a career champion's perspective, understand what your students need when having career-related discussions. And the other one is identifying student peers that will impact other students. It always goes with the saying, when one student has a great experience with your office, your service, they're going to share that with other students, which in turn will bring you more students. That will never go away. I think that might be like sales 101, if I'm not mistaken from the research. And then student expectations. Students want to be heard and not waste their time. Students want to see additional resources provided or added. Students want to be included and not feel left out. Every single student wants to be included and not feel left out, and that's important. Students want the campus to feel like a place of comfort, belonging, inclusive, and that is also important. And another student expectation is, again, they want to have real conversations about their needs and what they're experiencing. And active listening for all of our students, from a cultural perspective, from a person of color's perspective, from students with disabilities to our veteran students, very, very important, because I don't want to leave out any population. Here's something that I always show, because people always wonder this, did this guy ever actually have hair? And the stress of working in higher education, this is what it does over a 20-year period. You start off early in your career with a nice head of hair, and 20 years later, it's all gone. That's the stress of meetings. That's the stress of interacting, attending late night programs. So again, I just throw this in there as a funny slide, but 20 years will do this to you. The next part of what I'd like to talk about is the structure. So the structure within that intersectionality and assessment. I believe that the University of Connecticut is starting to have these conversations. You're trying to understand where your campus culture is. You're trying to understand how your students are doing within your institution, what they are experiencing with individual offices and services. If you really want to try and experiment and see what students are thinking, ask them about their experiences with different offices on your campus and listen to the reactions of what they're saying, because I'm going to guarantee you it's very different across the board for most offices or services that they interact with. The other one is, what your life transformative education is doing is, where do you want your institution to be? So 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now, what is that vision? What is it going to look like? The other one, which is something that we experienced in 2017 and continues to happen across the country, you have to assess when there are incidents that happen on your campus from a racism perspective, from a perspective of where students do not feel inclusive, and how are those incidents handled? Do you have a structure in place to be able to immediately mitigate or bring those students in for those conversations? Because it can make students feel very uneasy to the point where students will leave your institution. I always talk about practical and financial as two things as part of the structure almost being one. And from a practical perspective, when you put out the whole website for the life transformative education, what is realistic for the University of Connecticut? Will the structure that you are setting up or set up meet the needs of your students? And here's the one that I think I have the most conversation with people about. A lot of times organizations, institutions will put a lot of words and statements and diversity statements up on websites. And are those real? Are those used to meet a benchmark? Or is that something that your institution is going to live? And that's important because anybody can put words out, put statements, put paragraphs. But if you're not living what you're putting down, the first group of individuals that will know that will either be your students or your employees. So that is important. And then can your structure in the way that you're setting it up or will set it up, can that meet the goals that you're trying to achieve, which is another question. And like I said, the practical goes into the financial, which are the initiatives or work that is being done or will be done. Is that feasible to your institution? Can the services or resources be feasible? And I think that what was mentioned was that scalability is important because 20 people can't meet with 34,000 students, just will never, ever happen. That is humanly impossible. And then the one thing that we all know at every single institution, at every single company or organization is that there are no endless finances. The money is only to a certain point. The money is only a certain amount. So there are not endless finances. And the other thing that I talk about as part of structure is setting up how many collaborations. So how many entities are being engaged? Who are you engaging with? Are the groupings, the collaborations inclusive for all students? Because students want inclusivity, equity. They want to feel welcome. They want to feel involved. Do the pairings of the collaborations work seamlessly? Or does it require greater collaboration? Does it require greater commitment or greater finances? And then within your structure, are your students or student groups involved as part of the structure? I think so many times campuses forget about the student voice. And from what I'm learning from UConn and what Jim has shared before, it seems like your students have a lot of say or they're a part of your process, which is really good. You need that student voice to always find out what is happening on what I call the ground level. So the last phase is the implement. And the implement is just actionable items from a campus for an organizational perspective. Your campus or department vision. Does that align with what your university is sharing? Does that align with your life transformative education? Have departments or organizations looked at the website to overhaul to be inclusive? Are you leaving out any one group? Are your materials for anybody or a student that has a hearing impairment? Do you have resources that are serving those students? If you have a student that is visually impaired, are you also offering something that is inclusive for those students? So looking at your website to see where it can be overhauled to be inclusive. Are there programs that are just to one affinity group, or do you have programs for all affinity groups? The hiring of diverse faculty and staff. I think we talk about this all the time. It isn't that every conversation is going to happen with every faculty and person of color, because there are never going to be enough. So this is where allies, champions, and partners come into play. What types of cultural enrichment programs are being offered, from diverse speakers to smaller workshops to one-on-one workshops, including the monthly celebrations. And so one of the things that I think is this is something that most places have to do better, organizations, businesses, the monthly celebrations, because sometimes what I've seen is organizations will focus on 3 particular groups and exclude everyone else. Or they'll go out for 3 different groups and do big celebrations, and then some of your other groups get one little thing, which is not being inclusivity. The thing that I would say from the goals of the implementation, and I know that I've borrowed this from somewhere, but it's very, very timely: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And what I say with timely is when you're having conversations with students, if you see that there is a great need on your campus for X, you can't wait a year or 2 years or 3 years to do it. If students are saying, we need this, how do we do this now? So it also has to be timely. And then the last piece that I will share is from an everyday engagement perspective. And this is coaches, this is individuals that are teaching, these are individuals that work in offices, advising, meeting with students every day. And I call it the everyday engagement. And so meeting students where they are, so important. Building time into your schedule to interact with students' activities and what's important to them is absolutely paramount. They enjoy it seeing you when you're at a baseball game, when you're at a play, when you're at their research presentation. They enjoy seeing you because it removes you from the context of being in your office, and they start to see you more as a human being. Actively listen and recommend or connect those students to other individuals for support. Teach or talk with students to love themselves or see themselves positively. And now more than ever during COVID, that is something we have to do for our students. Allow students to talk about their lives to learn more. Just as much as they want to learn about us, we want to learn about our students. The other one, which I think is very interesting, which is honoring students' language. Not everyone speaks the same. Honoring students' language and being able to listen to what they have to say. Do not immediately correct students, but honor their language. The other one that I would say is that the work is not done alone, and welcome conversations from members of their support system, that student's coach, their faculty member, the supervisor from another department. The work is not being done alone. And the last piece that I'll say is connecting students with role models or individuals that may share the same interests. So that if you know the student is heavily into music, connecting that student with somebody in your music department or a club that is about music. And so to wrap all of this up and to surmise everything, the thing that I would say is that I am not an expert in this field, and I don't proclaim to be. I am actively learning. I am actively growing. I am actively researching. But the one thing that I'll leave you with today, and I'll share some of my social platforms if you want to engage. And again, you'll probably see all Westfield State stuff because that's what I do. But I would say that actively listening and being open to learn, the populations on our college campuses will continue to change and look very, very different from the next 1 to 20 years. And if we are not ready to serve our students, listen to our students, participate with our students, and I'm going to even throw that into employees as well, because the future workforce is also going to look very different. And actively engaging and making people feel inclusive from every perspective: race, gender, ethnic, religious group. Making people feel inclusive makes for a much better institution and makes for a much better working environment. So thank you so much for your time. Again, I commend the University of Connecticut on all the work that you're doing, and a great, great big congratulations to all of the winners today that are being recognized.
Thank you so much, Junior, for bringing your authentic self and sharing your authentic self with us, as well as your words of encouragement and inspiration. It was very much appreciated. And I would like to ask everyone to join me in giving Junior a virtual round of applause. So thank you so much. So we'd like to move into our question and answer period. And we do have a few questions from the audience. So I'm going to start with one that somebody put in the chat around: how can we scale programs for all affinity groups while ensuring all are effective and specific to each population without generalizing their experience?
Can you give me that one again, Nancy? That was a mouthful.
Yeah, of course. How can we scale programs for all affinity groups while ensuring all programs are effective and specific to each population without generalizing their experiences?
Awesome. So I'm going to say that what I have seen, for example, and I've read what I have seen, and I just read recently, which was very interesting. It was a commentary from a couple of colleagues across the higher education landscape. And they talked about that students have never, ever seen their offices because they are out and about meeting with students where students are and building programs and relationships where students are, wherever they might interact, whether it's in your athletic center, et cetera, that is where you would want to meet students. But to go further, actively having conversations with the different students that are coming to you, I think it's important. Some celebrations, again, one thing that I will say is you're not going to be able to do everything. That's the first thing that I'm going to say to everyone. You're not going to be able to do everything because the budget that would be required to do everything is probably a significant amount. But I think that having the active conversation, some campuses will do climate surveys of students to see what it is that they need. And from that point, it's not to overgeneralize student needs, but there has to be some sort of grouping within those student groups to say, or within those students and those certain populations to say, okay, what is it that you really need? Is it, and I'll just use the career space as an example. Is it right now that you're lacking more experience in mock interviewing? So how can we bring all of you together and have this conversation around mock interviewing? Because I think if you try to separate it out, you're going to end up with what was talked about earlier. You'd be doing 34,000 individual meetings, and that's not, one, not humanly possible, two, not feasibly possible. So I hope that and again, I don't have the right answers for all of that, but I think that through the active conversation and the active listening, you're going to learn what it is that you can put together for students that might bring it more in line for each one of those groups. Because you could have, let's say and I'll use today, for example, on our campus, we're having a rainbow graduation for our LGBTQIA community. And you might have members of that community that are thinking about the exact same thing that our Black Student Union is thinking about around whatever the issue might be, and bringing them together to have these conversations so that we're not excluding all the other groups. Anybody can attend, but these just happen to be the two groups that brought the issue to us. So we're creating this forum, a space for them to have the conversation, which is important.
So I think you sort of answered this question, Junior, around, that anyone can come, but these are the specific, concerns that this specific population has. But let's say that some programs are for female students in a specific department, and another is for Latino students. How do we include others who, might be interested in that topic and might think that program isn't for them because they don't fall into one of those groups?
Well, one of the things that I would say, again, one, I'm going to always continue to go back to active listening, but I'll actually give you an example because this happened on our campus. So it's a great question. And so actively listening to what the students want, what the students do need is important, but it's also sharing to the entire campus to be inclusive of all that you're offering. So for example, one of the things that was asked on our campus, and this was probably just when we had just gotten back from COVID, we kept hearing that students that identified as male did not know how to tie a tie. And so we promoted this, we actively went out and we shared it with everyone, anyone from across the university. We went to our different groups on campus. We went to our TRIO program. We went to our urban education program, the Black Student Union, our Latino Association, our veteran students. Lo and behold, completely not what I expected, because when I arrived to this presentation, there was 10 individuals that identified as female who showed up for this workshop. And so I had to stop for a second. I'm thinking, okay, why are you here? That's very interesting. And so I started asking each person, why did you come to the workshop today? Oh, because I have a sibling who doesn't know how to tie a tie and I want to learn how to. I have a partner who doesn't know how to tie a tie. I didn't get one person who identified as male to show up at the workshop, but we opened it up to our entire campus and we specifically invited every group to attend. So I think it's being open to inviting individuals. And then if the program, let's say, is for female students, but one department and then Latinx students want to show up as well, listening to what it is they hope to get out of whatever that specific presentation might be.
Okay, that definitely makes a lot of sense. I see that somebody has their hand raised, I believe, yes. Jane?
Yes.
Yes, so hello, thank you so much for your presentation. Actually, I'm asking because I'm involved in some, creating diverse inclusive environment in our department. We got some grant from CLAS. And while creating special programs or special events, we felt that, you cannot have only for females, or like we had mixed feelings, from mixed messages from students, from staff, from faculty, that you cannot hold just for female or for Latino community. Otherwise, others will feel left out. But if it's a diversity related program, like I'm just trying to understand what is the best way. You are saying, for example, Thai event, yes, it was probably open. It was not advertised to be a male event, right? So should we not advertise as a woman related event or Latino community related event? Or should we say that it is an event for those, but it's open for all? Should we say
yes? So my personal, what you just said, absolutely, because you want it when you're doing a program or a presentation, you're going to invite everyone to be inclusive, but you also want to be able to advertise it from whatever the content is as well. So what is the content that you want to share? Now, I, as a person who identifies as a male student, I may look at the invitation and say, well, the content really doesn't apply to me. I think you're still going to have that regardless of whatever program you offer. If it's focused on one group, there's always going to be one or two other groups that don't feel included. But I think it's the invitation, it's the content of the material that you're sharing, and allowing students to make the decision for themselves. Because then that group, or one or two groups that did not feel included, may come to you and say, hey, have you ever thought about hosting this, because this would work for both of our groups. So again, it goes back to that active component. The other thing that I'm going to say, and whether this sounds very unpopular or not, 9 out of 10 times, if you listen to every single student and you're actively listening, you might come up with 100 different things. And so around that, you have to build the themes of what you're hearing. What is the theme of what we just heard? We heard that these 10 offices do nothing from an inclusive perspective for students. That's a theme. We heard that this group of students, they want us to talk about graduate school and research, which we're not doing. So you want to pack that through themes, because then that might cover the entirety of all of your students. And again, if there is a one-off, and what I mean by the one-off is the one student that asks for something that you're saying, do you realize that that's going to cost the university $300,000 to do? It may not be realistic. And that's why I talked about realistic with practical and financial. But I would do that, because again, pack it around themes, because I think you're going to cover more groups, and still opening it to everyone and allowing students to make that decision if they want to enter that space or not.
That's very helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I know there's a long question on the other side, so I've got to read it to understand it.
I'm gonna turn it over to Jim just for a final thought, and then we're actually gonna move into our awards program, and we will look to have a conversation with Junior so he can address some of these questions, and we'll send some follow-up to you as well. So thank you so much, Junior, and I'll turn it over to Jim for 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Again, thank you so much, Junior, for being here and sharing your thoughts and wisdom with us. And I think the overarching answer to a lot of the questions that are being asked is that students go to who they know and who they trust for career advice. And that was really the cornerstone of the Career Everywhere and Career Champions program. Again, because Junior touched on this a couple of times, that we don't have the resources, or quite honestly, the knowledge to engage with every single student on our campus in their authentic voice. But through the voices of the 400 and hopefully 500, 600 career champions, we can give you the tools so that you can interpret that to the language and the ethos and the lived experience of the students that you engage with. And that's the beauty of it. So I wanted to thank Junior. I know there were other questions. We will get those to Junior and have him respond to those in writing and get those answers out to you. But again, thank you so much, Junior, for your time and your talent today. Very much appreciated. So Nancy, I'll kick it back to you.
Thanks so much, Jim. We're going to move on right now to some student awards. And for several years prior to COVID, we had a series of student awards for the work they did involving experiential learning. And I'm happy to share that we have the opportunity to bring these student awards back today. I would like to introduce Beth Secchi, Associate Director, to share information about these awards and award winners. Beth?
Thank you, Nancy. Our first award is the Undergraduate Co-op Student of the Year. The UConn Co-op of the Year Award is presented to an undergraduate whose co-op experience allowed for a meaningful and beneficial contribution to the organization, as well as their own career development. The Co-op of the Year is being awarded to a student who completed a metrology co-op in fall 2021 with Thermo Fisher. Our winner wanted a real-world, practical experience and successfully achieved that goal and more, leaving the co-op with strong knowledge, as well as professional mentors and friendships. The co-op experience allowed our winner to jump in and help with completing calibrations and submitting necessary paperwork in a timely manner. And given that their department was short-staffed, the co-op student found her efforts were highly needed. Our winner highlighted some essential skills while on the co-op, including critical thinking and communication. This co-op confirmed a career interest in biopharma, and she found Thermo Fisher to be a warm, welcoming environment as her first introduction to the industry. Please join me in congratulating our winner of the Co-op Student of the Year Award, Ashley Lamb, currently a junior studying chemical engineering, by putting your words of support in the chat. And again, congratulations, Ashley. Our next award is the Doctoral Career Development Experience. This award recognizes a doctoral student for a career-related experience which enhanced career readiness and informed ideas about future career pursuits. The recipient of the Doctoral Student Career Development Experience Award both interned and had a co-op in the summer and fall of 2021, respectively, at Xperic, a pharmaceutical contract development and manufacturing company. Our award winner designed and conducted experiments and trained colleagues on equipment and operating procedures. She also performed data analysis and wrote and presented reports post-completion of experimental studies. Through the experience at Xperic, the award recipient shared that she worked for a very effective leader, furthering a vision for how she would like to lead. In addition, she learned how to maintain and create regulatory documents, as well as about the many ways that research and innovation must work hand in hand with the ease of manufacturing, packaging, and scalability. Please join me in congratulating the winner of the Doctoral Student Career Development Experience Award, Tanu Mehta. Tanu is currently a fourth-year PhD student in pharmaceutical sciences. Our final student award is the Master's Degree Student Career Development Experience. This award recognizes a master's degree student for a career-related experience which enhanced career readiness and informed ideas about future career pursuits. The recipient of this award interned on the 5G Integrated Marketing Communications team for Verizon Business Group. The awardee executed various 5G-related marketing campaigns and worked with a team of interns on raising revenues and cutting costs for enterprise-level customers interested in a device-as-a-service program. The recipient had experience in integrated marketing communications as an undergraduate, but post-graduation went a different direction for a few years, and this internship enabled him to get back to a creative role that would more directly add value to a major corporation. He shared that the opportunity to enhance project management skills specific to marketing campaign execution was key, as well as applying communication skills to mobilize others and to build credibility in a short period of time. Please join me in congratulating the winner of the Master's Degree Student Career Development Experience Award, Jacob Gregus. Jacob received a full-time job offer from Verizon and will be returning after their MBA graduation this month. Congratulations to all three of our winners. And now we return to Nancy for our Career Everywhere Awards.
Sorry about that, the mute issue. Thank you so much, Beth, and congratulations to all our student award winners. It always amazes me what our students do out there in the real world. It's quite impressive. We are now going to move on to our Career Everywhere Awards and recognition part of today's event. Our committee received over 100 submissions to review this year. This number of nominations is testament to the mentorship and commitment you all have shown to our students and to each other. Before heading into the award ceremony, I'd first like to acknowledge our career champions, the Career Champion Advisory Board, and the Faculty Subcommittee. In support of Career Everywhere, the Center for Career Development sponsors a Career Champion program which identifies faculty, staff, alumni, and employer partners who are actively engaged in assisting students in determining and reaching their career goals. These people, many of you on this call, are instrumental in the university having such a high first destination outcomes rate. I want to thank you all from the entire staff at the Center for Career Development for the work you do with students around their career. It's also important for me to recognize the Career Champion Advisory Board. This board is made up of 24 champions who are committed to helping the center shape Career Everywhere and the Career Champion program. They met with the Career Everywhere team multiple times throughout the year and were in a constant state of communication between meetings. Many of the changes you've seen made to enhance the Career Champion program are based on recommendations from this group. Thank you all for taking a leadership role for this important career initiative. Once again, thank you to the advisory board, many of whom have been a member of this group for the past 2 years. Finally, I want to recognize a new group this year, our Faculty Subcommittee. This group is made up of faculty from many schools and colleges who provide advice and feedback to the Career Everywhere team regarding incorporating career into courses and curriculum. 2 outcomes that I would like to recognize are the creation of career-related syllabi language that faculty can incorporate into their syllabus, as well as the development of a Husky CT site that will launch later this summer that provides examples of existing syllabi and assignments that faculty and staff can use to incorporate into their courses and programs. We will now recognize our Career Everywhere Award winners. Our winners exemplify what it means to be a career advocate, which is to teach, advise, mentor, supervise, and support students on their path to becoming career ready. Christina Bedini, Assistant Director for Corporate Partner Relations, will get us started.
Thank you, Nancy. Please continue to share your words of support in the chat when we present the Career Everywhere Awards. Our first award is the Employer Career Advocate of the Year. The recipient of the Employer Career Advocate of the Year is an individual representing an employer who has demonstrated a commitment to furthering the career development of UConn students. Congratulations to all who were nominated for this award. In designing spaces used for enriching learning with a focus on diversity and innovation, this individual became passionate about learning communities and has since responded to repeated requests to support learning community programming, which in a large part has been with the career focus. His generous donation helps support unpaid research internship opportunities for students in need. He also shared his experience identifying as Latinx in a field where diversity is not well represented. Once he understood more about the residence hall he was designing, this nominee went above and beyond what was expected of him as lead architect and is so deserving of this award. Please join me in congratulating our winner of the Employer Career Advocate of the Year, Jose Hernandez, principal at Newman Architects. Congratulations, Jose. We appreciate your partnership in supporting the career development of UConn students. The next award we have is the student-nominated Undergraduate Faculty Career Mentor of the Year, which acknowledges undergraduate faculty members nominated by students who have served as career mentors. I'd like to recognize all faculty career mentor nominees. Congratulations to all who were nominated for this award. This year's student-nominated Undergraduate Faculty of the Year received 9 nominations. This individual is described as exceptional at guiding their students towards career success through providing industry insight, coaching, and mentorship. This individual has been known to incorporate relevant career readiness skills into their engineering course instruction while exposing their students to a variety of career choices. This individual is revered by their students, not only because of their commitment to student success, but their willingness to support the students' goals and aspirations. Without a doubt, the recipient is exemplary of the spirit of this award. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Fiona Lee, Assistant Professor in Residence and Director of Undergraduate Laboratories in the Department of Materials Science and Engineering. Congratulations, Dr. Lee, and thank you for the work for furthering the mission of Career Everywhere here at UConn. Our next award is a student-nominated Graduate Faculty Mentor of the Year. The recipient of the student-nominated Graduate Faculty Career Mentor of the Year is a graduate faculty member nominated by students who has served as a career mentor. Congratulations to all who were nominated for this award. This individual plays a pivotal role in assisting students with their career goals. He organized a panel of alternative careers in political science with several UConn alums sharing their stories about their career paths. He also organized a talk on maximizing your online presence, including building a portfolio website, how to use Twitter effectively, how to claim and link to publications in Google Scholar, and more. This individual also facilitates practice interviews and teaching demonstrations to prepare students for job visits. The commendable work of this individual is supporting students' career success is deserving of this award. Please join me in congratulating our winner of the student-nominated Graduate Faculty Career Mentor of the Year, Dr. Jeremy Pressman, Professor in the Department of Political Science. Congratulations, Professor Pressman, and thank you for your unwavering support of your students. I will now turn it over to my colleague, Wiley Dawson, Assistant Director at the campus at Hartford campus.
Thank you, Christina. Our next award is the Colleague-Nominated Staff Career Advocate of the Year. The recipient of the Colleague-Nominated Staff Career Advocate of the Year is a UConn staff member nominated by their colleagues who has demonstrated a commitment to furthering the career development of UConn students. Congratulations to all of this year's nominees. The winner was nominated multiple times, demonstrating a commitment to further the career development of UConn students in many ways. The individual has been called a tireless advocate for career exploration in the work she does shepherding the program she manages, and works as a mentor and advisor to various students and groups. She thinks about how to incorporate inclusive enrichment activities into programs to ensure students think about career possibilities aligned with their strengths and experiences. She is an inspiration in her professional life, working collaboratively to build the holistic student experience and using her perspectives as a thought leader in the community building space. Please join me in congratulating the recipient of the Career Advocate of the Year Award, Melissa Foreman, an individual highly deserving of this award. Melissa is the director of the Learning Community Program and assistant director of the first year programs and learning communities. Congratulations, Melissa. The next award is the Colleague-Nominated Faculty Career Advocate of the Year Award. This award recognizes a faculty member nominated by their colleagues who has demonstrated a commitment to furthering the career development of UConn students. First, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge all of the nominees. This individual works with students and employers to create capstone projects for seniors. These roles connect students directly to employers and can create a line of opportunity for employment. He runs the OPIM Innovate workshops, which builds skills that employers are seeking, but which are not yet covered in academic courses. He works one-on-one with any student who seeks experience in MIS and is a true career advocate. Please join me in congratulating the recipient of the Colleague-Nominated Faculty Career Advocate of the Year, Jonathan Moore. Jonathan is the MIS Academic Director and Instructor in Residence. Thank you for your dedication to student success. Congratulations, Jonathan. Our final award is the Student-Nominated Staff Career Mentor of the Year. The recipient of this award is a UConn staff member nominated by students who has served as a career mentor. Congratulations to all of who were nominated for this award. This individual helps provide accounting students with career advice and connections with different career opportunities and internships. This recipient received multiple nominations. She provides essential tools for student success, considering their long-term goals. She has helped with resumes, interview prep, plan of study, deadlines, and more. One student said, "She is very knowledgeable and willing to share her knowledge with everyone in need. Her doors are always open. Much of my success at UConn has to do with her." Please join me in congratulating the recipient of the student-nominated Career Mentor of the Year, Erin Lee. Erin is the Accounting, Recruiting, and Career and External Relations Manager in the School of Business. Your commitment to your students is truly inspiring. Congratulations, Erin. This concludes our award ceremony. Congratulations to all of this year's award nominees and recipients. I'm now going to turn this over back to Nancy for some closing remarks. Nancy.
Thank you so much, Wiley, and a sincere congratulations to all of our nominees and award winners. We appreciate all of you. And it was great to see all the comments in the chat of support and congratulations from our participants today. Thank you for doing that. I want to thank you all again for taking time out of your busy schedules to join the Career End of the Year Awards and Recognition event. I want to emphasize that preparing students for career and life after college takes a village, and I am glad to be a part of that village with each and every one of you. Please look out for a post-event email inviting you to join the Career Champion community if you aren't already a member. I want to acknowledge the Career Everywhere team for putting together this event and everything else they and the rest of the Career Center staff do to support Career Everywhere and the success of our Huskies. Please reach out to any of the Career Everywhere team members, Jim, or myself if you have any questions or to follow up. Have a wonderful summer, and we look forward to our continued partnership. Thank you again, and have a great day.